All right, everyone, welcome to our Create High-Quality Apps with Agentforce Vibes session. This is a classic for Dreamforce and TVX. I don't know how many times we've done this session before, but it keeps on coming, right?
It's always great.
Always great. We are PMs. We like to talk about the future. We like to talk about the innovations that our teams are responsible for. So here's our forward-looking statement. Please make your decisions based on features that are currently available while we continue to make our forward-looking statements and tell you all about what's coming. Thanks to your feedback, we continue innovating, making our products better. Vibes 2.0, partially thanks to, I'm sure, our feedback here from these guys, right? We thank you very much for everything you do to help our developer products become better every day. I'm John. I lead our DX ALM product space. That's Code Analyzer, DevOps Center, DX Inspector. And Jeff and Myresh are going to introduce themselves in a few minutes. I'm going to be going quickly because there's someone else I want to introduce here. And also, we have a special guest coming later today. In the meantime, here's Sam. Sam is a developer at Pronto. And, he's been using already a number of our tools. He uses Agentforce Vibes IDE, not so much the extension yet. He still needs to be convinced, right? But Agentforce Vibes IDE gives him the right tools in a hosted environment ready for Salesforce. So it's very easy for him to adopt and start using actually a range of Salesforce tools, including Agentforce Vibes extension. He also uses Code Analyzer to scan his code, identify issues. That's great, but there's plenty more to the way he's using Code Analyzer, I think, right? So his role is changing. The role of all developers are changing. Developers are going to become more and more orchestrators of agents. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that today and how some of our other tools like Code Analyzer, like ApexGuru, can help people like Sam actually develop high-quality apps, but in a governed way as well. Because we're talking here about Agentforce Vibes, yes, Code Analyzer and ApexGuru for code quality, but also look at that, DevOps Center and DevOps testing to ensure that all of these changes actually follow a governed way to ultimately go all the way to production in a safe and governed and trusted way. With that in mind, I'm going to hand over to Chef to take us through Vibes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I am the product manager for Agentforce Vibes. Been a long-time developer, and I'm super excited about what we're going to be showing here today. I think it's the future of development on the Salesforce platform. I've been developing with those yokels back there since 2007. Yeah, raise your hand. Since 2007, I've been a developer for a long time. Joined Salesforce in 2015 to start this little project called Trailhead. And now I'm working with these great guys building some awesome developer tools for you guys. All right, so what we're going to talk about, Agentforce Vibes. Who's used Agentforce Vibes? All right, good job. I'm awesome to hear that. So for those who haven't, Agentforce Vibes is our new agentic developer experience, specifically designed to boost developer productivity with Gen AI. So you use a natural language of code. You can simply describe in plain English what you want to build, and Vibes is going to generate the plan, the configuration, the code that you can review, approve, and deploy. And it's not what you think of just like vibe coding where you type in a prompt and it goes off and spits things out. It's more of a conversational coding that keeps the developer in the middle of the whole thing. You can always view, approve code, make changes, whatever you want to do, whatever is right for your project. And then that's going to be going off into production based on your approval. We just announced a React on the platform, so you can build, in addition to building LWCs and Lightning applications, you can build fully React components and React applications now. Fantastic. If you haven't looked at the demo downstairs, there's a bunch of Agentforce Vibes booths downstairs. I would highly recommend you stop at the Vibes booth and look at things, and as well, come down and look at the React implementations too. One of the great things we released a couple of weeks ago was multimodal support. So instead of just sending text-based prompts to the tasks that you want to achieve, you can actually send CSVs, Word files, PDFs, PowerPoints, images, and Vibes is going to reason over that and make changes and additions and creations based on what they've found. So like this, for instance, this one right here, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I uploaded 45 different fields for custom object. Vibes read that CSV file, created the custom object, all the fields, add them to the page layout, and then create a permission set for them. Fantastic way to eliminate some of the developer toil by scaffolding custom objects. I had a PDF that had the PRD for a new feature I wanted to build. I gave that to Vibes. It read that PDF, added that to the context, started building a project based on what it found in that PDF, in that PRD. And then my favorite is using images in the development process. So this is actually an LWC that I wrote, and I was like, well, I want to move this column over to the left here, and I need to move the title to the right 5 pixels and change this here and get rid of this column. So instead of typing that all out, I just took a screenshot and annotated directly on the image, upload that to Vibes, and the model took care of the rest for me. So one of the things that we heard a lot about from people is like, the models don't have all the nuances of the Salesforce platform. They don't know how to create all the metadata correctly. It's not working every time I deploy it. How come it's not working well, right? So we spent a lot of time and effort developing metadata skills, tools to give the context to models to generate quality metadata that's deployable the first time. So we've done that with a number of Salesforce skills. There's about 30 or so Salesforce skills. They're all open source if you want to look at them. They're in the force.com/AFV-library repo. And every time we actually deploy Agentforce Vibes, all those skills are packaged up. So they're curated set of skills that each platform team develops. They're tested on different models through eval system to make sure that they are working the way we expected them and they're being called and they're producing the correct kind of outcome. All right, last thing, you can now download your uses of Agentforce Vibes in Salesforce. So there's a simple button on the Agentforce Vibes extension page. You can download the last 30 days. It has stats. Each row is going to be your production org, your sandboxes, your scratch orgs. It's going to give you some metrics like lines of code accepted, acceptance rates, different models, tokens. This is what we have right now for TDX. For Dreamforce, we want to have much more elaborate reporting so you can create your own dashboards and your own reports. All right, let's go into the demo here. Let's see. Oh, I hit the right tab. That's great. So what I want to do is we're using this org, this Pronto org. We've been using it for, 13 years now?
Yeah.
The same org over and over again, it seems like. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create some new fields on a custom object called gift certificate. And I'm going to add those fields to page layout and the list view. And I'm going to add them to the permission set so I have access. And I'm going to actually give Vibes the actual field. So there's the prompt I'm going to give it right there. So I could actually just not give as much information because the models now don't need as much guidance. They can kind of refer to that themselves and infer what you want to do. So, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I want, I want default values and currencies and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. I've recorded this, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit by doing this. So I put it in plan mode, and it's going through and looking at my org, and it is saying, okay, here's what I found in your org, all these files. I think I have an idea what to do. I found all these custom files, or custom object files, and then it's going to churn through here, and finally it's going to say, here's my plan. I'm going to create everything you told me to do, all these fields. I'm going to create a permission set, add them to it, and the page layout. Is this what you want to do? So I could go at this point and say, hey, I want to add one more field. I don't like these pick list values. I want to do something else, and I can have a conversation with it, make those changes. But I'm going to go ahead and put it in the act mode. It's going to start working. The first thing it does, it calls the generating custom field Salesforce skills. So that way it has the context on how to build these fields correctly. So once it reads that context, it's going to add that to the model. And the model has the instructions on how to do it. And it's going to start churning away and creating those fields. You can see there's the context coming back from that skill. All right, so there we go. So now it's going to create all the fields. There's the metadata being created. There's it's adding to the list view as well, those fields at list view. And now we're adding to the permission set as well, since I already have that permission set. So now it says, okay, we're done. So I successfully built everything. I built the fields, I updated the page layout, I added the permission set, added the list view. We're ready to go. What do you want to do now? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say I want to deploy this to my org. So this is, like I said, this is an old org, and it had some errors here because there are other unit tests that are failing. So I'm going to have to fast forward this until it actually works. It tries a couple times. Okay, so there we go. So now it says, okay, I deployed it. I can see that the gift certificate has the right records in here, the right fields, everything's set up right. What do you want to do now? So let's see what I have in here as well. So there we go. So now I have that all in. So everything's been built in Vibes. So what does that look like in here? So we just built a trigger. We just added some fields to that as well. That's all updating. So now I'm going to go in the actual org and we can kind of look and see how that works.
Left.
Yeah, wrong way. Yeah. So now I have my custom object here, my gift certificate, and I'm going to hit the new button and grab this right here. And you can see I can add a recipient. I think I have Alex in here. Yep, Alex in here. And I'm going to have the gift certificate is going to be $100. and I'm going to put an expiration date of tomorrow. So now when I save that, it's not going to be expired. It's going to be unchecked, and it's going to have a value of $100. So what I want to do with this now, if I update this and make this change, and I add a expiration date of sometime in the past, it's going to update this record, reapply the formula, and mark this as expired, and with a current value of 0. So that's how we've done that intent of basically not going through clicks and clicks and clicks to set up things and create records and create code by just using Agentforce Vibes to actually work on the intent of that and have the model actually perform those actions that we would usually do by clicking through the application. So, all right, after you.
Wow, thank you, Jeff. And Jeff, I hear there are some booths downstairs where they can learn a little bit more on Vibes on their way out of TDX.
On their way out.
Right.
First floor, on the right-hand side, past the hands-on demo area, there is a spot where you can see all kinds of Vibes videos and actually ask questions and do hands-on with Agentforce Vibes as well.
So again, on your way out, don't forget to drop by Platform Park, Vibes area. There's stuff to see there. Code Analyzer. All right, Code Analyzer is there to help you ensure your code meets the quality that you are looking for, right? And it's available in a range of places. First of all, it's agentic. It allows you to identify issues, but also fix them using ApexGuru, using Agentforce Vibes, and we have a range of MCP tools and soon becoming skills to help you run Code Analyzer as part of the Agentforce Vibes and, to be honest, any other agent experience as well, right? It's available across the CLI, the IDE. We have a GitHub action. It's available in DevOps testing. You can automatically run Code Analyzer from there. And as part of the VXMCP server, and soon, as I mentioned, becoming a skill, 700 plus rules for you to scan your code. Now, importantly, we have a few new things here, right? In our ESLint world, we are able to now scan for anti-patterns on Lightning Design System 2 on React. React is a new thing. I mean, as part of TDX, you've been hearing about React. Yes, we are already for a few months, able to scan React with like 3 different React plugins that are part of ESLint, and a whole host of new engines that we've had, regular expressions that can now be found, a number of different rules for checking flows and ensuring they adhere to best practices. Finally, Salesforce Code Analyzer has been made for both new users that can just get started very quickly with the default configuration that we provide, handpicked by Salesforce product teams, or you can customize everything out of it thanks to our YAML file that can even be generated by AI, by the way, to ensure that you have the right rule set at your disposal to really run Code Analyzer in the way you want. And we have some new things that we're talking about at TDX, right? I mentioned React, but also, as part of the Code Analyzer usage, sometimes you identify false positives. Our scanning is not perfect. It's kind of deterministic. It's based on syntax tree analysis, right? Sometimes there are violations that are false positives. You want to quickly comment that in code. We can now do that. I'll show you that in the demo in a second. If you are Code Analyzer fans, you might have came across our Graph Engine, which is our most advanced engine. It can actually scan code across multiple different classes. It identifies connections between code, how code flows between, say, a trigger, a utility class, and all that stuff, and allows you to identify vulnerabilities that span across multiple files. Now, in the past, it was nearly impossible to run Graph Engine in a complex code base. We fixed that. It now runs at record speed, and I'll show you that in real time, and you'll be able to see how quickly it is now. We can, in addition to our MCP rules to scan using Code Analyzer, we are now able to give you the ability to generate new Code Analyzer rules and automatically incorporate that as part of your Code Analyzer configuration. I'll be showing you that in a second today. Easy to install, available in CLI by default, available in the IDE by default. GitHub, just need to use our Code Analyzer action, available in DevOps testing also by default, by the way, and as part of our DXMCP server. So very easy to get access to all sorts of different flavors of Code Analyzer already today. On the DevOps world, we are on a journey, right? We started a long time ago with change sets allowing you to migrate metadata from point A to point B. We added a pro-code kind of CI/CD-friendly way of integrating any CI/CD tool with the Salesforce world, either Salesforce DX, Salesforce CLI nowadays. We added some years ago DevOps Center, followed by DevOps testing. But at Dreamforce last year, we announced the next generation of both DevOps Center and also the X Inspector, which is its pair that runs on every single Salesforce sandbox. A few new things happening there, right? Also DevOps testing coming later this year. DevOps Center itself, GA at TDX, it is now available directly and deeply integrated into our platform, and any Salesforce customer can access it. And we built it to be agentic from the ground up, so meaning that you can actually use agents to interact with DevOps Center pretty much end-to-end. You can create a work item, you can promote it. There's a demo downstairs in the Vibes area around using DevOps Center entirely using Agentforce Vibes. So take a look at that. Beyond that, we're going to keep improving. We're going to keep developing this kind of agentic layer for ALM, and that's going to be something you're going to be seeing more and more towards Dreamforce. DevOps testing, developer preview, now at TDX, also deeply integrated into our platform. There was a sneak peek earlier, and I'm sure that's going to be recorded, and you'll be able to see more of that. The key thing here is that DevOps testing will also be agentic. You'll be able to invoke DevOps testing from pretty much any agentic tool. We are starting with a range of Salesforce tools, like Salesforce Code Analyzer, Apex unit tests, and flows that can be invoked through automated testing as part of DevOps testing. Use that to inform quality gates to ensure that only changes with that meet high quality can be promoted within your DevOps pipeline. And we will bring in many of the partners that were working with us as part of the existing DevOps testing managed package too. Right, so let me move on to my demo very quickly. Let me just open it here, and there we go. So imagine I'm here looking at my Pronto report, Salesforce CX project that I have here. Note that I've enabled Code Analyzer to run Salesforce Graph Engine as part of its the default configuration. I'm about to run Graph Engine and everything else, everything in our recommended rule set, across a range of classes, across a range of components. And you'll see, this is all running in real time, how quickly Code Analyzer will actually run. And it will create an HTML output for me to see the results. Now, Code Analyzer will give you this immediate output. You'll see that I'm running it here in CLI, so we have a little bit more detail on how the various engines are being invoked, its completion. You'll see that Code Analyzer is now already past 80%, thousands of different code paths that it has already gone through, right? In seconds. This is a totally different world versus where we were even a few months ago, right? So once this is done, I'll be able to take a look at my output.html and see what kind of violations we are getting indeed from Code Analyzer. So this is going to finish in a second or two, and then I'll be able to go there. So that's that output.html done. Here it is. I have a number of filters. I can look at the violations by severity, understand what kind of things might be important for me to prioritize and fix. I can look at this by engine. I can scroll down. Imagine I want to focus on a particular class here. I look at this Pronto data install script class, which has a number of severity 2 violations, and I want to take a deeper look. So let's go back to Vibes and open that particular class, right? And imagine I've never interacted with this class before. I'm a little concerned it has a few severity 2 violations that are security related that I want to fix. What can I do? I can go to Agentforce Vibes and ask it to tell me what this class is all about. It's a very basic thing, but quite valuable for me to get the instant documentation on a class that is properly not that well documented, right? So Vibes starts by telling me, okay, what this class actually does, and that's great. Now I have a little bit of an understanding. It's some sort of helper class to load data for demo purposes, and therefore it has some issues that I might need to be aware of, right? So it kind of identifies all the key parts of that logic and so on and so on. Now that's great. I want to do a few other things, right? I want to actually run Code Analyzer now against this specific file and see in the IDE what kind of violations I'm getting. And I'm going to get bombarded by problems once I start doing that, right? Because you see that the entire block of code there on the right is going to be highlighted in yellow. There's violations that span multiple lines, and this is becoming a little bit too confusing, right? I want to clear this up so I can focus without changing any of the underlying Code Analyzer configuration. I want to focus on only certain types of violations, right? So what I can do is now in Code Analyzer, you can insert comments that suppress certain violations. So I can insert those suppressions for particular rules that are a little bit noisy in this particular file, right? And maybe they're not as important as some of the other rules I want to find. You can also do kind of suppress and unsuppress and focus that suppression to only the parts that you care about, right? So once I run Code Analyzer again, you'll see that most of those are gone. I can now focus on things that I actually care about. Now, one thing that I noticed is that we keep using this variable name keys all the time whenever we're referring to data sets. I don't particularly like it. I like my variable names to be a little bit more descriptive. So what I can do as well is to use Agentforce Vibes to create a new PMD rule that will run within Code Analyzer to identify variables that are named keys. And going forward, I can use that rule anywhere. I can give it to my development team. They can always use it, right? So I say it, OK, I don't like it when they name it like this, right? So Vibes is going to use our new MCP tool to generate rules, starting by analyzing and trying to figure out what kind of a code could be used to generate such a rule, right? So the first thing it does is basically create an XPath, which is what PMD uses to identify vulnerabilities. And once that XPath is created based on a sample code that Agentforce Vibes is coming up with under the hood, right? It allows you to create that new rule using this kind of create custom rule MCP tool that you see there. And automatically, it will also create the associated YAML file and, of course, the PMD rule set for it, right? So with the Code Analyzer YAML file there, that means that it's already hooked into Code Analyzer. I can run this pretty much immediately, right? So we're going to see how that actually happens, right? We are going to go ahead and go back to our terminal. First thing we're going to do is just to look at the Salesforce Code Analyzer rules command. In fact, the CLI is actually going to tell me that it's rules, not rule. And I'm going to ask it to tell me all the custom rules that I've added there, right? So it will show very quickly, and this is a good way to navigate the Code Analyzer rules catalog. It will show me very quickly that there's a couple of rules that I have there, right? One, number two, I don't really care about. Avoid variable named keys is the one that we just generated. You can see that it has a number of different tags. Code Analyzer has this concept of tags to organize your different rule sets. I'm going to just add it to the IDE configuration of Code Analyzer. I will run it again. And as part of the various problems that Code Analyzer is identifying that particular file, you see that whenever there are variables named keys, and there are quite a few of them in that particular file, it will identify that as an issue, right? So we're running that again, and you'll see that it's now underlining that particular issue. So Code Analyzer identified this successfully. And you can do this for a number of much more complex anti-patterns that you might want to find with Code Analyzer. We're starting with the PMD engine, but we're going to move from there across all of our engines. All right, so that is it for my demo. I'm going to introduce you to Mayuresh.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. My name is Mayuresh Verma. I work in the capacity of product manager for ApexGuru. So scaling Apex comes with a lot of business risks. As a developer, you would all be familiar with this particular aspect: performance bottlenecks, go-live delays, inefficient code, or maybe high maintenance and reactive troubleshooting. All these are part of our daily lives. And why does a developer struggle to write Apex or scalable Apex code? Now, we should also understand that performance readiness should now be part of AI readiness. And these 5 areas is what we feel developers struggle to write scalable Apex code. It is because of the growing code complexity of your org. Many runtime issues, which is reactive in nature, along with reactive fixes, a huge tech debt that you all have. And faster code creation. We all are aware of Agentforce Vibes. We all are aware of various other agentic IDEs that are generating code at a very rapid pace. But is it scalable or not? Why are current tools not enough? There are a lot of tools externally available. There are code editors, copilots, there are code reviewer tools, there are logs and debugging tools. One thing that it misses is the runtime aspect. Because you have 1,000 lines of code, just as an example, 1,000 lines of code, which are those code lines which are non-performant amongst your 1,000 lines of code, and how do we fix those from a criticality, from a priority standpoint? These are certain examples. Now, if you think of ApexGuru, performance is the keyword that you need to think of. Sokolin loop, it's just like going to a grocery store and purchasing one item at a time rather than purchasing all the lists, all the items in one shot. You have get global describe, another performance anti-pattern, which is considered pretty heavy or pretty expensive. There are a lot of unused methods and dead code lying in your org. It addresses that as well. And test cases. We all know how there are a lot of hacks around generating test cases. So it addresses that as well, targeting code coverage as well as code quality. Yes, ApexGuru currently available in your full copy sandbox and production environment across all editions and signature customers. It is surfacing, or its surface is code recommendations, so-called DML analysis, unused methods, expensive methods, and test cases. It is already and also part of the IDE with Code Analyzer. It is available as part of Code Analyzer plugin. You can leverage, or your developers can start leveraging performance insights via ApexGuru in their IDE. This is the shift left strategy. And we have also integrated with DXMCP. These are the new announcements that are part of TDX. ApexGuru's availability as part of DXMCP, as well as test cases, which is targeting code coverage and code quality. A bit of demo. Right, so as a user, I just go to, right now what I'm showing you is the web UI version of ApexGuru. It can be searched under Scale Center. You'll find ApexGuru Insights. Within ApexGuru Insights, you'll find code recommendations divided or bifurcated basis the criticality, critical, major, minor. The criticality is defined basis the runtime, the production runtime of your org. And that is why you know this particular code line is critical, because this has been called multiple times, this is super expensive, and I need to fix it so that I do not face any further performance issues due to this. There's so-called DML analysis, similar view, expensive methods, those methods that are occupying more than 5% of my CPU time, more than 2 to 5% of my CPU time, that gets flagged over here. We received a lot of feedback from you that what do we do with just highlighting expensive method? There needs to be a fix as well along with this. So that's what we are working on, and soon that will also be delivered. Unused methods, those code lines that are lying dormant in your code base, not getting called, not getting referenced anywhere, that gets surfaced over here. So a very highly used feature. Customers use this to reduce their tech debt. And test cases. How do I improve my code coverage, code quality? That gets flagged over here. Well, everything over here that I'm showcasing is in the web UI, but as a developer, I need to get these insights as part of IDE flow as well. So over here, you can see case intake routing service class. The thing that you are seeing over here, the classes that are getting highlighted, is nothing but the integration with Code Analyzer that is going to go GA soon. And in here, as a developer, I can see the runtime insight that you can see on the top third or fourth row over here. The developer, while coding, they would understand that this particular code line caused this particular production issue and performance issue, and that is the reason I need to fix it at the earliest. Right. Similarly, other anti-patterns get flagged. Now, me as a developer, I go and I want to add a particular Apex code line. It is also available as part of skills that Jeff has highlighted within DXMCP. Right. Now, as a developer, I want to add a certain class within this particular, certain method within this particular class. And that's what I have asked Agentforce Vibes to do. It's adding an initial support comment. Right. And see, check this out. It is loading the ApexGuru skills and then generating a performant code, which is generating performant code at the build time itself. Now, as a developer, I want to introduce a regression, not intentionally, just a regression that I have added it over here. And it will flag the anti-pattern as soon as I save the class, which is again part of Code Analyzer. Right, check this out. It is flagging the insights, correlating it with the production insights, and then surfacing the output over here. And the same usual drill, what should you fix first? It gives a recommendation that the severity, basis the severity, that these are the critical anti-patterns that need to be solved, and these are the major or minor anti-patterns that needs to be fixed. Right. So that is ApexGuru as part of the developer workflow. And since GA, just wanted to flag this, that there have been a huge growth and we would like you to start leveraging the feature. Reach out to us for any particular feedback. And with that, over to you, John.
Thank you, Mayresh. And now, it's time for me to just wrap up our little kind of demo section. So Sam now has access to all of this stuff. DevOps Center, next generation, GA, TDX, DevOps testing, developer preview, TDX. It's coming later this year. Vibes, not just Vibes 1.0, Vibes 2.0 preview, right? Where it's coming, ApexGuru later this year, ApexGuru and Code Analyzer. So basically, a new engine for Code Analyzer. That's what I'm hearing from ApexGuru, right? And Code Analyzer, we're going to keep definitely working on it. In the meantime, we still have a few minutes left. It's time for our special guest. So Josh, I'd like to welcome you on stage to tell us all about your experience with Agentforce Vibes. There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Yeah, here to talk a little bit about what we've done at Engine with Agentforce Vibes. So to start out, Engine, we are a modern travel management and spend management platform, scaling rapidly on the Salesforce platform. You know, we've been early adopters or early embracers of a lot of the agentic experiences that Salesforce provides to us, and one of those is Agentforce Vibes. So for us, you know, it's a review platform. It's a platform to look at what's working, what's not working. It helps us to optimize layouts, to optimize declarative parts of the platform. And one of my favorite things is it's really strong at building test classes. One of these folks were talking about test classes and how, you know, we've all hacked around them. And I know I know my team has. And, you know, Agentforce Vibes has become a tool for us to build better test classes that actually measure and check that the code that we're developing on our platform actually does what we expect it to and is performant. Yeah, so for us, again, we have a pretty large, pretty robust Salesforce application at this point. A lot of code has been written, a lot of flows, a lot of different pages, a lot of things going on. And having a tool like Agentforce Vibes that can generatively and agentically help us has increased the scale of my team. You know, folks are becoming 10, 20, 30x developers because they have these agentic tools available to them right at their fingertips. So to start out, kind of what we did, we started out with using the Salesforce DX MCP. We are big MCP users. We're big users of Cloud Code Cursor, but also the standalone Agentforce Vibes application. And for me, the first use case that I really started pushing my team on was test classes. I saw very early that Agentforce Vibes did a fantastic job with writing comprehensive test classes that tested all facets of our code and gave us a lot of good output around the performance of that code. The cool thing that happened too is the team kind of just picked it up. You know, I showed it a couple times in some team meetings, and people just started clicking into it in their Scratch orgs and their dev boxes, in our primary sandbox, and just really started picking up and being like, oh, did you know you can do that with Agentforce Vibes? Or did you know you can do this? And we have a couple of team channels that we post a lot of our AI did you know type stuff. And I've seen a number of things I was like, I had no idea it can do it. Like the first time that we figured out that it can manipulate page layouts, like that was a game changer because that was one of those things that we were still going to the UI for. And then someone's like, actually, you don't even need to touch the UI to move fields or to add fields or change buttons or to do things of that sort. And that was a game changer for us because that allows us to develop faster and keeps us in the platforms we were already developing in. Yeah, so again, as I said, what we discovered, we found that test class generation was fantastic. It was fast, it was accurate, and it caught a lot of bugs before they hit production because we weren't doing some hacky workarounds to make test classes work. We were having proper assertions. We were checking things correctly. The other thing as well is we do a full PR review of every single thing that hits production, whether it's as small as a custom formula field or adding new flows, editing flows, and we've been able to use Agentforce Vibes to help us to check those flows diffs against prod versus stage and make sure that we're not deploying anything that's destructive to our end users declaratively or programmatically. Yeah, and then as I said, it really helped us with page layouts. We had some gnarly page layouts that we had to deal with, thinking about some of our account pages or things like that, where you had to scroll for 5 minutes to get to the bottom of it, which is an awful UX for our end users. And we were able to fix a lot of that with Agentforce Vibes, and it was able to be like, hey guys, like these fields, you don't need them. This is why, or these are low value fields. And it was really able to give us descriptive reasons and rationalize how we can better make the pages. What we saw, so the last thing is kind of what we saw. What we saw is our junior devs, our team of admins, devs, they were ramping faster. They were doing more. They were able to adhere to the best practices that some of the more senior and tenured folks developed, and they didn't need as much hand-holding. Everyone became 10x. Everyone has become 10x devs because of these tools. And why it matters. So this is the key part. It really matters because it combines the full platform. As we all know, Salesforce is, we all try and do declarative work first. We use code when we have to extend the power of the platform. And Agentforce Vibes supports that declarative work as well as the programmatic side of the platform. It also meant that we had more leverage from each individual. If we have 15 people on my team who are doing the work that maybe 100 people could do, the less pro serve hours, we have more productivity, and we're seeing higher quality of work. Yeah, everyone's more performant. We're seeing better reviews, deeper reviews, more thorough reviews because we use Agentforce Vibes. We use vibe coding platforms to help us to perform those reviews. So things that people might have missed, things that people might have ignored. I don't know about you guys, but you get a 10,000 line diff or something like that in a GitHub PR. I don't know how closely you're reading all 10,000 lines that are changing, but Agentforce Vibes or a vibe coding tool, trust me, it reads every single line, and it calls out the most obscure thing that you would never have thought to catch that might save you a major prod fire one day. Folks are able to get their work into prod faster. It used to be, I don't know, a couple years ago, it might have been 30, 45 days before we saw someone new joining the team who shipped their first site in prod. Now what I'm seeing is folks joining day 3, day 4 after they get it through their HR onboarding, they're already shipping work. They're already seeing the results of their labor in production, and it's making a big difference to the team, to the org, to the whole company. So all this, our scale is so much greater with Agentforce Vibes. Our quality of code is so much greater. We're able to do more with less, faster, better, all with these tools at our fingertips.
Thank you, Josh, for sharing your experience. Thank you so much. We'll just speak a little bit there. Stay here. Sit here. Sit down. Yeah. All right. So I know this is very difficult to read. Feel free to take a picture. You will also have access to our PDF anyway after the session. This is our roadmap. We have a lot going on here. From my end, I would highlight that towards Dreamforce, yes, we are working on more and better agentic ALM, more autonomous agents as part of the entire ALM process. Think everything from ideation to building to testing to deploying, all of that stuff. What would you highlight, Jeff?
I like to highlight that we have a new version that we're announcing today, Agentforce Vibes 2.0. It's built from the ground up with multiple providers, so you can choose if you want to have Anthropic's SDK run or OpenAI's or an open source one like Klein or Mastra, plus many more features with multiple tabs running, multiple sessions, sub-agents, quite a bit. So stop down by the booth and you can get a full demo.
Good, good, good. And for my Resh, I hear Apex Evolve is a really cool thing. Tell us about?
Yes. So Apex Evolve is a new technology, a new framework that we are working on. It's a goal towards self-healing or giving you the most optimized code for your particular production code base. That's what we are working on. Watch out for the same as a pilot during Dreamforce.
Perfect. Now, my question to you, well, after you scan the QR code that has all links to our documentation, if you want, I'll give you a second to that, is does anyone have 1 or 2 questions, because we don't have much more time for that. The microphone is right there in the middle of the room if you want to get up.
Please don't hurt yourself when you rush up the microphone.
Yeah, exactly. Feel free, it's just over there. In the meantime, I'll keep flicking through these slides. Thank you.
Oh, we got one.
Oh, there's a question. That's okay. I'll still need to get to the Q&A slide anyway. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for being here with us at TDX.